About a year and a half ago, I built myself this storage heater cover, and I always intended to build a bookcase to go with it. So today I'm going to battle with this sheet of 18mm plywood and get on and make myself the bookcase. And this will also be a great project to really try my Triton Traxel out for the first time. I want the legs on this bookcase to be joined with 45° miters, so I can tilt the saw to a 45° angle and cut off this first strip. Then I can adjust the guide rail to cut the strip out at the correct width I need, taking into allowance for the thickness of the blade, as technically I am cutting on the waste sheet side. Then I can flip the saw back to 90° and make a straight cut. Now I've done it once, I need to cut another 7 of these strips out. And this is why I always try and do these type of tasks outside, because as you can see it creates a hell of a lot of dust, and in my small garage workshop I'll be cleaning it for hours. Then it's over to the miter saw to cut off the factory edge of the plywood, and using the makeshift stop block cut them down to the correct size. So these lines I just marked are going to be where the biscuits will fit in when I join the two mitered pieces together. So I've got the fence on the biscuit jointer tilted to 45°, and with the two leg pieces placed on top of each other, this allows me to cut the biscuit slot higher up on the miter joint so I don't go through the other side, but I'm still taking my reference points off of the bottom piece. Then I can get some glue along the length of the miter joint, not forgetting to get it into the biscuit slots. And I'm going to use 3 number 10 biscuits for each leg. Gluing the leg pieces up was a little bit fiddly, but I just ensured that the 2 leg pieces were flush one edge, gently clamped it up, and then came back and clamped it a bit tighter until I had the fit that I wanted. Once I did get the legs glued up, I decided they looked a little bit out of proportion on one side, so I just ripped some of them down on the table saw. Then it's back to the Traxel to cut out the shelf pieces. And I'm going to use pocket holes to join all the shelf pieces together. This was the first time I used my pocket hole jig with the dust extraction connected, and it made a hell of a difference. Why I've not used it before, I don't know. Because some of this plywood had a slight bow to it, before I fixed it into place to the bottom of the shelf, I just took my time clamping it up, trying to get it as flush as I possibly could to the edge of the shelf. And then it was onto the sanding step. Everything was sanded up to 240 grit. And I did come back and put some filler in the small voids in the plywood, and again sanded that back over with 240 grit. I wanted to use MDF for this project, but I couldn't get a full sheet delivered and I couldn't fit one in my car, but this step would have definitely taken less time had I used MDF. Now with these small offcuts of plywood, I can get the bottom shelf placed on top of them, which will lift the bottom shelf up 18mm, and then I can get the legs glued and clamped into position. And I really took my time using my cabinet square to ensure each leg was square and straight. To hold the legs temporarily in place, I'm just going to put some brad nails in the bottom of them, but I'll come back and filler them later on. Then I can get the bookcase flipped over, ensuring I'm still in shot. Then I can really ensure the legs are secured into position with 2 screws underneath in each corner. Then I cut these spacer sticks out over on the miter saw, and the middle shelf can sit on top of these when I put it into position, and they should keep it level with the bottom shelf. I fixed the middle shelf in the same way I did with the bottom shelf, and then I could move on to fixing the top rails into position, again with 2 screws in each corner. Then I could get the whole unit flipped over, get the top piece slid underneath, and with the marks that I previously made I could get them lined up and get the top fixed on with some pocket hole screws. Then all that was left to do was to go over the brad nail holes with some filler, put a dark stain on the pine top, and up until this point I was undecided of how I wanted to finish the back. I opted for this 6mm thick pine cladding, to which I put the same stain that I applied on the top to the other side. And with a final coat of paint, this was what I was left with. The paint I used was a white chalk paint, and I'm glad now I've used the whole tin up because I would never use this paint again. I really like how the pine top darkened down with the stain on it. Everything went together really well and nice and flush. I think it ties in really well with the radiator cover that I previously made. So here's the finished bookcase stroke side unit. I think it turned out quite well in the end, considering that I built it from plywood. I had always originally designed to build it from MDF. But you know, current conditions at the minute, there's nothing I can do about it. I've tried to dress the unit up, or the bookcase up, the best I can, but I'm not someone that owns a lot of knickknacks, so I guess now I've got somewhere to put them, I better buy some more. But something I think it's really missing that I can add to it is this. Much better. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next one.